I am Dr. M. Laxmidevi, Associate Professor in the Department of CSCDS at Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. In today's video lecture, we'll learn about decision-making statements in C. So, in decision-making statements, we'll be covering nested if statements, else if ladder statements, and then the last one, switch statement. Now, let us see one by one in detail. First one is nested if statement. Before going to that, let us revise briefly once again whatever the topics we have covered in the last video lecture. So that is, in decision making statements, we have seen the different versions or different forms of if statements which are available. So apart from that, in this video lecture, we will also be covering the other forms of if statements which are there, and also switch statement in detail. So what are decision making statements? So decision making statements are used in a program, or in C program we use them to alter the flow of execution of the program. So if the program involves some decision making, so there we use these different types of statements, if statement and switch statement. Depending upon the complexity of the problem which is to be solved or program, then there we use different forms of if statements. So these are the different forms of if statements which are available depending upon the complexity of the conditions which are to be tested. So first one is simple if statement. Next one is if else statement, then nested if statement. Then after that, the last one is else if ladder statements. So in the last video lecture, we have covered simple if statement, if else statement we have covered. In this video lecture, we will cover nested if statements and else if ladder statements. So simple if statement is, so there we check only one condition, and based upon if the condition evaluates to true, then the code inside that condition or inside the if block is executed. Then in if else statement, it is an extended version of this simple if statement. So else part is also included here. So if the condition is true, then the code or the statements inside the if block are executed. Otherwise, the control is transferred to the else block. So code which is written in the else block, so that will be executed. Next is if nested if statements. So it is all. So nested if statements is nothing but if nesting of if inside, nested if is nesting of if statements inside another if. So if statement inside another if statement. So these can be used if code is to be executed when multiple conditions become true. So in the program, suppose we need to check more than one condition. So in that case, we can use these nested if statements. Next is else if ladder. So else if ladder, so when there are multiple conditions need to be checked, in that case, we can use else if ladder. Now let us see one by one. So here we'll be discussing about the syntax, the flowchart, and then the program for each of the statements. So that is switch statement, nested if statements, and then also else if ladder statements. So first one is nested if statement. So nested if statement in C programming language is used when multiple conditions are to be tested. The inner statement will execute only when the outer if statement is true. Otherwise, control won't even reach the inner if statement. So there are different forms of nested if statements available. So first take an example for, so this is the syntax for nested if. So here, if is the keyword which is used. So after that, in the brackets, we have condition 1 specified. If this condition evaluates to true, so then only the control is transferred to the inner if statement, and if the condition 2 is also true, then only the statements which are there inside the if block, these are executed. Suppose we are checking, so we need to check whether a number is, suppose we have 3 numbers A, B, C, so 10, 20 and 30. So we need to check which of the number is greater. So that we can do by using this nested if statement. So in the first condition, if we write, if 10 is greater than 20, so this is A and this is equal to B and C is equal to C. So if A is greater than B, then again if we are checking that if A is also greater than C, then printf inside this A is greatest. So here we are checking 3 variables. So 10 is greater than 20. So this evaluates to 10 is greater than 20 means false. So it will not enter this inner if statement. So it will exit the program. So here first condition itself is false. So it will not even enter the inner if statement. It will exit the program. So if we give another value, another set of values, A is equal to 30, B is equal to 20 and C is equal to 10. So in this case, so it will compare 30 greater than 20. So 30 is greater than 20, that means it is true. Now the control is transferred to inner if state. Inner if, it will check the inner if condition. So here also 30 is greater than C. C here is 10. 30 is also greater than 10. Now it will print, now it will go to the inner printf statement and this printf statement will be printed. So that is 30 is the greatest of all the numbers. In this way we can understand nested if statements. So we can also include else part also inside the inner if statement. So here this is the syntax. So this is another form of nested if statement. We can also include the else part also. So here also same, the program flow is the same. If first the control is transferred here, it will check this condition 1. If it evaluates to true, then it will enter this condition. It will check this condition 2. If this is also true, then the statements inside this inner block are evaluated. So if this becomes false, so if this condition 2 is false, then the control is transferred to the else part and the statements which are there inside the inner else block. So these statements are executed. Next, another form of nested if statements. So we can extend. So we can include the else block also here. So we have outer if and this one is the outer else. Outer if block you have and outer else block also you have. So here we have extended, this is also an extended form of nested if statement. So nesting of if else statements. If else statements are nested in if condition here. So here what we are doing is, so let us see how is the program control or how is the control transferred here in this case. So if the condition 1 is true, if this evaluates to true, if condition 1 evaluates to true, then the control is transferred here. If this condition is also true, then the statements inside the inner block are executed. If this condition is false, then the statements here in the else block are executed. So if the condition 1 itself is false, then the control is transferred to the outer else and the statements which are given here in the outer else block. So those statements they are executed. So we can understand the flow of here with the help of flowchart. So here it will check the condition. Condition 1 is checked. If it is true, then it will check another condition, that is condition 2. If this is also true, then the statements inside inner if block are executed. If it is false, so we have written else part also. So if it is false, the statements inside the inner else block are executed. If this condition itself is false, so this is the condition 1. Condition 1, this is outer if and this one is the outer else. So if the condition is false, then the statements inside outer else block are executed. After this, the next statements which are there, so they will be executed. So those will be executed. So this is how we can understand the program control is transferred or the flow of the program takes place. Next one, nested if else statements. So nesting of if else inside another if or else. So that is nested if else statements. So here you can see, so we have the outer, so this is the outer if block and this one is the outer else block. So it will check this condition. If the condition is true, which is mentioned in the outer if block, then the control is transferred to the inner if block. Then it will check this condition. If this condition is also true, so we know that the condition, so here the evaluation of this condition or the outcome of this condition is either true or false. So if it is true only, then these statements are executed. So that means outer if and inner if statements are executed. If it is false, if this condition is true but this condition is false, then the control is transferred here. It will go to inner else block and then these statements are executed. Outer if and inner else statements are executed. If this condition itself is false, then the control is transferred to the else part. So here again in the else block we have included if and else. So here it will check the condition. If this condition is true, then the outer else and inner if statements are executed. If this condition is false, then the outer else and inner else statements are executed. So in this way, we can understand the nested if else statements. Next, consider a simple program. So here we need to find the greatest of three numbers. Suppose we have A, B, C. There are three numbers. So we need to find which one is the greatest out of all the three numbers. So this program we can execute it by using nested if else statements. So consider, we have declared three variables A, B and C. So here we have written printf, enter the three numbers. So by means of scanf function, so the three numbers are read into the variables A, B and C, so belonging to integer data type. So if A is greater than B, so first condition we are checking here is whether A is greater than B. If this condition is true, then so we can understand it with the help of flowchart. First, we have to read the three numbers A, B and C. If the first condition it checks is if A is greater than B. So if it is true, if this condition is true, then it will check one more condition, that is A greater than C. If this condition is true, so A greater than B, A greater than C, that means it will print A is the greatest. So this is the statement. A is greatest. So here again inside the if block, so we have mentioned if else condition. So if else statements we have used here. So here if A is greater than C, then A is the greatest if it is true. If it is evaluated to false, if the condition evaluates to false, then what is the statement to be printed? C is the greatest. If this condition is false, then it will go to the else block. In the else block, so we have written, again if else statements we have written. So here it will check the condition. So it will check this condition B greater than C. So if this is true, if B is greater than C, then B is the greatest. If this is false, then the statement to be printed is C is the greatest. So there are no statements after this, so that's why the program will get executed. So here let us see. So suppose the inputs given are A is equal to 10, B is equal to 20 and C is equal to 30. So in this case, first it will check whether 10 is greater than 20. So this condition is false. So 10 is not greater than 20. So it will go to the else block. So here in the else block, it will check whether B is greater than C, whether 20 is greater than 30. This condition is also false. So therefore it will go to the else block here and it will print C is the greatest. So that is what the answer is. So 30 is the greatest of all. Next, if we take another set of values, suppose A is equal to let us take another set of values. Suppose A is equal to 30, B is equal to 20 and C is equal to 10. So here in the if statement, so we have used first condition it will check is 30 is greater than 20. So it is true. So this condition evaluates to true. So therefore it will enter into this if block. Again it will check the condition 30 is greater than 10. So this also evaluates to true. So therefore it will print A is the greatest. So here A in the sense 30. 30 is the greatest of all the numbers. So in this way we can understand the flow of control in nested if else statements. Next one is else if ladder statements. So when in the program we need to check multiple conditions. When in the program we need to check multiple conditions. So there we can use else if ladder statements. So let us see the syntax first. So here the syntax is, so it starts with the keyword if and then inside the brackets we have the conditional expression. So that is given by condition 1. So after that curly braces, inside the curly braces we have statement 1. So if condition 1, then statements to be executed. If there is single statement, no need to include these curly braces. So one more curly brace to indicate start and stop. So after that, next is else if. Again it will check one more condition, condition 2. And then followed by the statements to be executed. Let it be statement 2. Next again else if the programmer, if one more condition needs to be checked, then we can include one more else if statement, condition 3. So in this way we can extend our this else if ladder depending upon number of conditions to be evaluated. So this is statement 3. So in the last part we have else and then statement 4. So in this way, so this is the syntax of else if ladder statements. So here first of all condition 1 is tested and if it is true, then the statement 1 will be executed and control comes out of the whole if else ladder. So first of all condition 1 is tested and if it is true, then statement 1 will be executed and control comes out of whole if else ladder. If condition 1 is false, so that means if this is false, then condition 2 is tested. So in this way the control keep on flowing downwards if none of the conditional expression is true. The last else is the default, that is the default block of code which will get executed if none of the conditional expression is true. So here if none of the condition is true, then the last part will get executed which are there in the else part. So let us see the flowchart for this. So first condition 1 is tested. If it is true, then the statement 1 will be executed. If it is false, then condition 2 will be checked. If this condition is true, then statement 2 will be executed. If this condition is false, then again the another state condition will be checked, that is condition 3 will be checked. If this is true, then statement 3 will be executed. If it is false, statements 4 will be executed. So after that the control comes out of the program and the remaining statements are executed in the program. Now let us see a simple program to check whether the given number is a single digit number, double digit number, 3 digit, 4 digit or 5 digit number. So consider this program. So here this is not required. So in order to check whether a given number is single digit, so we have single digit number from 0 to 9. So we know that, then after that 10 to 99. So this is a single digit number. These are double digits, and then after that 100 to, so these are 3 digit, then 1000 to, so it is 4 digit, so more than 1000 is 5 digit number. Now let us see a simple program using else if ladder. We'll write a program to check whether the given number is single digit, double digit, 3 or 4 or 5 digit number. So here we need to declare a variable n, so belonging to integer type, then read the value of that n into the variable n. Now we are writing the condition. So if n is greater than, so if the n is greater than or equal to 0, and so here we are checking in the conditional statement or in the conditional expression we have used this logical AND operator. So this is logical AND operator. So if n is greater than, so n should be greater than or equal to 0 and it should be less than or equal to 9. So if this condition is satisfied, then the statement to be printed is single digit number. Then, so this part is over. Next, in the else if, so here in the else if also we need to mention the condition. So if in the else if part, the condition mentioned is if n is greater than or equal to 10, that means this. If n value lies in between 10 and 99, then the statement to be printed is double digit number. Then after that, the next condition to be checked for a number to be a 3 digit number. So that is, the number should be in between 100 and 999. So then it is a 3 digit number, or you can write triple digit number also. Next, in the else if part, again we are writing the condition. So that condition is n should be greater than or equal to 1000 and n should be less than or equal to 9999. So then it is a 4 digit number. Then after that, in the else part, so we have written, so remaining all numbers, so that is a 5 digit number. So in this way, suppose if you enter 11 here, so then first after entering 11, so first this condition will be checked. So is n greater than, so 11 is greater than or equal to 10 and it is in between 10 and 99. So this condition will be checked. So this condition evaluates to true. So after that, the statements which are there in the else if block, so those will be executed and the message you will get is double digit number. So in this way, you can understand the execution of this program by using else if ladder statements. So this is one more program to check if the given number is positive, negative or equal to 0. So first you need to initialize a variable number belonging to integer type, then read the value of that number into the variable num, and then you have to mention you have to check the condition that if the number is equal to 0. So here we have to check whether the number is positive, negative or equal to 0. So in the first line, the if condition, we have mentioned the condition that if the number is equal to 0, then printf the value is equal to 0. So in the else if block, again we need to specify the condition. If the number is greater than 0, printf the number is positive. So here we are not using curly braces. Why? Because there is only one printf statement inside this if block. So that's why no need to use any curly braces here. Next here, so after this, in the else part, if the number is not equal to 0 and if the number is less than 0, then it will print the number is negative. So in this way, we can write the program. Suppose the user is entering some 1, the value of 1, so that is read into the variable num. Then first condition it will check is this num is equal to, whether 1 is equal to 0, so this will be evaluated to false. So then after that it will check this condition in the else if part. is this number greater than 0? 1 is greater than 0 means that is true. So this condition evaluates to true. So on the screen you will get the number is positive. So output which we will get is the number is positive. So 1 is positive. Hence, so in this way we can write the program to check if the given number is positive, negative or equal to 0 by using else if ladder statements. Next is switch statement. So switch statement is an alternative for else if ladder statements. So here also we can, so whenever there are number of options available, so then the programmer can use, or then we can use else if. So instead of else if, we can use switch case statements. So sometimes it is also referred to as switch case. So why? Because switch is a keyword, case is also a keyword here. So here the else if ladder is an effective approach when number of conditions to be checked are less. So when the conditions to be checked are less, so there we can use else if ladder. So when large number of conditions are involved, the switch is performed. So here we can use switch statements. When large number of conditions are to be checked, there we can use switch statement. So switch case in C is a multi-way decision making statement which selects one of the several alternatives based on a set of fixed values for a given expression. So what is expression and all, that we'll see in the next slide. So in the syntax for switch statement. So switch case is mainly used to replace multiple if-else statements. So instead of multiple if-else, or instead of using if-else, else if ladder statements, we can use the switch statement. Use of numerous if-else statements, it causes performance degradation. So the program becomes slow because several conditions need to be evaluated before a particular condition is satisfied. Now let us see the syntax first and then we'll see one program for switch statement. So here in this syntax, first the keyword switch is used here, and then inside the parenthesis we have the expression. So expression evaluates to integer value. So this expression can be an integer or character, but it cannot be a float or a double. Next, after that, inside the curly braces, so we have the keyword case followed by constant 1. So these constant 1 are, so constant 1, constant 2, these are the constants or constant expression that evaluates to integral constant. So these are also known as case labels. So depending upon the number of conditions to be checked, so we have number of cases here. So case constant 1, case constant 2, case constant 3, and then the default statement. So here the default is optional here. So we can include default in this or we can exclude it. Then inside each case we need to use a break statement also. We need to use the keyword break. So why? Because let us see with the help of one example. So here expression must evaluate to integer value. So that integer value of type character, short or integer. Next constant 1, constant 2. So after the case, so we have the labels. So this is called as, these are case labels. So these are constants, so that which evaluates to integral constant. These are known as case labels. Some of the valid switches are, so this is a valid switch, this is an invalid switch. These are some examples of valid cases, these are some invalid cases. So here valid switches, in the expression we can write some variable. So its value should be an integer or character. So in the expression we cannot use relational operators. So there are relational operators, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. So all these operations, these are not allowed in switch expressions. So all these are not allowed in switch expression. So some of the invalid switches, x plus 2.5. So float value is also not valid in switch expression. Some of the valid cases are, so this is an integer constant, this is a character constant. So this also evaluates to integer constant. So therefore all these are examples of valid cases. So valid case labels you can say. These are invalid case labels. So 2.5, this is a float value. So this is invalid, and comma operator is also not allowed. So all these are invalid cases. Now let us see the flowchart for switch statement. First, the program, when the control is transferred to the switch expression, so switch expression, it will evaluate to either integer value. So this output of this, in case of if else statement, if condition, so there the outcome of the condition is either true or false. But here in case of switch expression, the expression evaluates to integer or character value. So, it will evaluate to integer, or it will return some result. So that value can be an integer or it can be a character value. Then after that it will check each of the case labels. So case and then followed by label. So here label is constant 1. So if this constant 1 matches, it will perform equality check with this labels and the expression. If this constant 1 is equal to the output of the expression which is evaluated, if both are equal, then body of the first case will be evaluated. If both are not equal, then it will go to the second case and this label will be checked with this expression which is evaluated. If both are equal, then body of the second case will be evaluated. And since we have used break statement here, the control is transferred to the next statement after the switch statement. Then if this is also not equal, then it will go to evaluate the third case. So it will compare constant 3 label with the switch expression. If both are equal, then body of the third case will be evaluated. If it is not equal, then default case will be evaluated. So body of the default case will be evaluated. So after that, next statements which are there, which are mentioned after the switch statement, they are evaluated. So switch case here performs equality check. So here we cannot use relational operators. So unlike if else statements, so the condition does not evaluate to true or false. So here equality check is performed for the against the expression and the list of case values. So expression and case values, if they are matching, then only that particular case will be evaluated. So expression in switch case must evaluate to return an integer or character. So any number of case statements within a switch can be used. So expression value is compared with the constant after the case. So expression value is compared with the constant after the case. Data type of the value of variable or expression must be same as the data type of case constants. So let us understand it with the help of one program. So before that, some more points. A break statement is optional here. So break is a keyword which is used in each case. So that is optional. So if break is not used, then what happens, that we'll see in the program. So break statement at the end of each case causes the switch statement to exit. So as soon as the control is transferred to that particular case, then if the case label is matching with the switch expression, and then that case will be evaluated, the statements in that case will be executed, and then the program flow of the control is transferred out of the switch statement. If break statement is not used, then all the statements below that case statements, they are also executed until it finds a break statement. So that's why we need to include a break statement inside each case. The default code block gets executed when none of the case matches with the expression. So default case is optional and it does not require a break statement. Default case is optional, so it is not mandatory to include a default case, and also it doesn't require a break statement also. Next disadvantage of switch statement is, so here it can be used to perform equality check only. So we cannot use conditional operators or relational operators like these, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, etc. So they cannot be used. So switch case statements can only be used to perform equality comparison. Conditional checks using relational operators like greater, less than, greater than, equal to, etc. cannot be performed. So let us see one simple program. So suppose a student is getting the marks in between 90 to 100. So the statement to be printed is, he got the grade as A. If the marks are in between 80 to 89, then B grade. Then 70 to 79, C grade. So here it's if the marks are in between 90 to 100, A grade. The student will get A grade. If the marks are in between 80 to 89, so he will get a B grade. If the marks are in between 70 to 79, C grade has to be displayed, and 60 to 69 they are considered as D grade. 50 to 59 E grade. Then 40 to 49 is E minus grade. And then after that, less than 40. So less than 40 is fail. So if the student is getting less than 40, he is fail. So we have to write a program for this. So if this based upon these conditions, so we have to display the grades of the student. So now let us write a program. So there are multiple alternatives you can see here. If the marks are in between 90 to 100, so A grade has to be displayed. If the marks are in between 80 to 89, B grade has to be displayed. So there are several alternatives which are to be evaluated. So therefore we can use switch statement here. So in order to use first, so in the program we have initialized, we have declared a variable marks. So marks is a variable belonging to integer type. So by using scanf function, value can be read into the variable marks. Suppose we are entering here 55. Suppose the value of marks entered is 55. So when you enter the marks as 55, so let us predict the output of this program. So here in the switch expression, so in the expression what is written here is marks divided by 10. So this expression will be evaluated first. So output of this should be an integer as we have seen. So marks divided by 10, that means 55 divided by 10. So 55 divided by 10 is equal to, the quotient is equal to, so 55 divided by 10 is 5. So 5 means first it will check the case, this case labeled as 10. So it doesn't match with this. So expression value evaluated is 5. So case label is, so this 10 and this 5, these both are not equal. So this expression and this case label, they will be checked. If both are not equal, then it will move to the second case. Another case, then here also 9 and 5 both are not equal. So therefore after that it will move to another case. So 8 and 5 are not equal. So in this way it will perform all the case, it will check the value of this expression against the case labels. So here this case label is matching this expression. So 5 and 5 are equal. So therefore printf the grade is E. So that is what, so 5 means grade is E. So when the grade is E means he is getting 50 to 58. So 55 marks means his grade is E. So that's what. So after this we have included a break statement here. So the control is transferred out of the program. So consider one more case. Suppose the user is entering 35. User is entering 35 here. So 35 for 35 divided by 10 is 3. So here expression value is 3. Now this expression value will be checked against each of the case labels. So this expression is not matching with any of the case labels as you can see here. So we have up to 4 we have written. So case 3 is not there. So therefore control will be transferred here and default case will be executed. So in the default case, so output which we will get is grade is F or fail. Now another test case, suppose the input given is 100. Suppose the input is 100. So here 100 divided by 10 is 10. So expression value will return an integer. That integer value is equal to 10. So then control is transferred here. So it will check the first case label. This 10 and this 10 both are equal. But we have not written any statements here in this case 10. So therefore the control will be transferred to the another case. And here whatever the statements are there, so those will be printed. So grade will be A. So as you can see here, from 90 to 100 grade is A. And then the program encounters a break statement here. So as soon as this break statement is encountered, control is transferred out of the program. So in this way, the switch statements are executed. So consider one more program where we need to check whether the given character is a constant or vowel. So we know that vowels are A, E, I, O and U. Or you can write A, E, I, O and U. So these are the vowels. So remaining all are, so in the alphabets all are constants. So in order to check whether the given entered character is a vowel or a constant, first you need to declare a variable belonging to char data type. So ch is the variable which we have declared. So into this variable, we can take the value of this ch variable, character value into this variable ch by using the scanf function. Suppose we enter a here, small a we are entering, then the switch after that expression, so expression will be equal to a. So it will perform equality check with this expression. So and then this a is matching with this case label a. So when we this case label a, but there are no statements written here. So there are no printf statements written here. So control is transferred to the next line. After that here also nothing is written. Then in this way control it will check each of the case label. Why? Because we have not written anything. Break statement is also not there. So it will check each of the cases and then finally at this point in this case, so there is a printf statement written. So this printf will be, so this will get the output as vowel. After that break statement, so as soon as break statement is there, so program will get executed. Program will get exited. So in this way, the output of this program when we enter the character A, so we'll get it as a vowel. Suppose we enter some other Z character. So it will compare each of them. So this Z is nothing but the value which is stored in the variable ch. So in the variable ch, so Z is nothing but the value of this ch. So in the switch case, instead of the expression, we have given that ch value. So ch is equal to z here. So this z will be compared against each of the case labels. None of the case labels are matching here. So therefore it will go to this default case. And here the statement which is written here is printf consonant. So consonant will be printed. So in this way we can understand the use of switch statement. So thus let us see some of the differences between switch statement and else if ladder statements. So these are the differences between, both are used for checking multiple conditions in the program. But switch statement is better because it is a better way of writing programs as compared to else if, and it leads to more structured programming. Switch is more simple and manageable. So we do not use any logical and or logical or operators in case of switch statement. Block of statements corresponding to a case is not required to be enclosed in curly braces. So whereas in case of else if ladder, so if there are more than one statement, then we need to use curly braces. In a switch statement, a case is normally terminated with a break statement, but in else if ladder, no need to use any break statement. Then expression in the switch statement can result in constant of type, character or integer, but not a float and double. So float values and double values, so these are not allowed in switch expression. So it is not the case in else if ladder. So these are some of the differences between switch and else if ladder statements. So in this video lecture we have discussed about nested if, switch and also else if ladder statements. So in the next video lecture we'll discuss some more concepts of C programming. Until then, thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.